His morning show was supposed to be routine. Lorraine Kelly had interviewed countless celebrities over the years, from nervous first-timers to Hollywood legends, but nothing quite prepared her for what would unfold when Sean Bean walked onto her set that day. The atmosphere in the studio was warm and bright as always. The crew adjusted the lights, the cameras panned in, and the audience clapped politely as Lorraine welcomed the Game of Thrones star. Sean smiled faintly, dressed in a dark navy blazer, but his eyes carried something heavier than his grin suggested. "Sean Bean, everyone." Lorraine beamed. "We're thrilled to have you back. It's been what, 3 years since your last visit?" Sean nodded, leaning back slightly in his chair. Something like that," he said in his Yorkshire accent. "Time flies, doesn't it?" The first few minutes were cordial. They talked about his new film, a gritty drama about war veterans, and Sean shared his thoughts about aging in Hollywood. But Lorraine, known for her disarming charm and direct questions, decided to press a little deeper. "So Sean," she began carefully, "there's been quite a bit of discussion online about your comments regarding intimacy coordinators on film sets. Some people found them outdated. Do you stand by what you said?" Sean shifted in his seat. I do," he replied bluntly. "Acting's about trust and connection, not someone standing there telling you how to feel. It's not a factory line." The audience chuckled awkwardly. Lorraine gave a polite laugh, but her eyes flicked toward the producers. She could sense the tension already. "I understand your point," she said gently, "but many actors, especially younger ones, say those coordinators help them feel safe. Times are changing, aren't they?" Sean sighed, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Times might be changing, Lorraine, but not always for the better. People are afraid of being human now. Everything's got to be signed, approved, and sanitized." A murmur ran through the audience. Lorraine's smile thinned. "Well," she said, "some would say that's part of progress." "Progress?" Sean interrupted, his voice rising slightly. "Progress is losing the art of risk. You can't make great scenes if everyone's terrified of offending someone." Lorraine blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "That's quite a statement," she said, her tone tightening. "But surely you'd agree that safety and respect." "Safety and respect don't need a supervisor," Sean shot back. "They need maturity. You think we needed that in the 90s? No. We used common sense." The audience fell silent. The air in the studio grew heavier by the second. Lorraine took a careful breath, trying to steer the conversation back. "Well," she said with a brittle smile, "it's certainly a passionate topic. Let's move on to your co-star's comments." But Sean wasn't finished. "No, you brought it up, Lorraine. Let's not dance around it. Everyone's walking on eggshells now. I say one honest thing, and suddenly I'm a villain." Lorraine's patience finally cracked. Her Scottish composure faltered as she leaned forward, her tone sharp but controlled. "Sean, no one's calling you a villain. But you do have influence. Maybe consider that your words matter to people, especially women, who've faced unsafe situations on set." Sean's jaw tightened. "Don't twist my words. I've never disrespected anyone I've worked with. Ever." "I didn't say you did," Lorraine replied, her voice rising now too. "But you can't ignore the bigger picture. The industry's trying to fix what was broken." There was a pause. The cameras captured Sean's hard stare and Lorraine's unwavering poise. It was live television at its most unpredictable. Finally, Sean stood up. "If we're just going to argue over headlines, I'll save you the trouble," he said, taking off his microphone. "Sean, please," Lorraine began, but he had already stepped off the stage. The audience gasped as the producers cut to a commercial break, the theme music playing over the tension. When the show returned, Lorraine appeared alone, her smile restored but her eyes betraying unease. "Well," she said with a forced chuckle, "live TV, always full of surprises." But backstage, Sean was pacing furiously. His agent tried to calm him down, while a producer warned that the network might not invite him back. Sean muttered something about cancel culture, and stormed out through the side door, cameras catching just a glimpse of his retreating figure. Lorraine sat quietly in her dressing room later, sipping tea. She'd weathered tough interviews before, but something about this one lingered, the raw emotion, the clash of generations, the impossible balance between honesty and accountability. Outside, social media was already on fire. Clips of the argument flooded Twitter, hashtags like hashtag Sean Bean Clash and hashtag Lorraine Live Meltdown trending worldwide. And his opinions split between those calling Sean brave, and those calling him arrogant. Both he and Lorraine knew this wasn't the end of the story. The fallout was immediate. By the time Sean Bean got home that evening, his phone was exploding with notifications. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, every social media platform was flooded with clips of his argument with Lorraine Kelly. Headlines screamed across entertainment sites. Sean Bean explodes on live TV. Lorraine Kelly left speechless as actor storms off set. Out of touch or misunderstood genius. Sean tossed his phone onto the sofa and sighed. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, slumping into his chair. For 30 years, he'd built a career on grit, honesty, and rawness. Now, one unscripted moment had turned him into a villain in the eyes of half the internet. His agent, Martin, called within minutes. "Sean, mate, it's everywhere," Martin said anxiously. "ITV's furious. Lorraine's team isn't commenting yet, but the network's considering banning you from all their shows." Sean rubbed his forehead. "For what?" "Speaking my mind. For walking off live television," Martin said bluntly. "It's not a good look." Sean groaned. "They wanted a real conversation. I gave them one." But he knew deep down it was more complicated. The world had changed, not just the industry, but the audience. People weren't just watching shows anymore, they were dissecting every word, every expression, every tone. Meanwhile, Lorraine sat in her office at the ITV building. The morning had felt endless. Producers were arguing in the hallway, and her inbox was filling with both praise and criticism. Some viewers said she handled herself gracefully. Others accused her of provoking the actor. Still, beneath her professional calm, she couldn't shake off the feeling that the interview had gone too far, that something more human had been lost in the crossfire. That evening, she recorded a short message for her online show segment. "Sean and I had a passionate discussion earlier today," she said softly. "Live television can be unpredictable, and emotions can run high. But I respect him as an actor, and I hope we can both move past this moment." It was diplomatic, graceful, but Sean hadn't seen it yet. The next morning, he woke up to a knock at his door. It was Martin again, looking exhausted, holding a tablet. "You'd better see this," he said. Lorraine's message played in silence. Sean sat there, watching her composed tone and calm eyes. No bitterness, no mockery, just sincerity. When it ended, Sean exhaled slowly. "She didn't have to do that," he muttered. "No," Martin agreed. "But she did. Now it's your turn." Sean looked reluctant. "You want me to apologize? I want you to speak. Not as a headline, as a man." That afternoon, Sean recorded his own video from his living room. The lighting was soft, his voice steady but humble. "I've been in this business a long time," he began. "I've seen it change, grow, and evolve. Sometimes I struggle to keep up with that. Yesterday on Lorraine's show, I spoke too passionately and didn't listen enough. For that, I apologize, not because I was told to, but because I respect Lorraine and everyone who felt hurt by what I said." He paused, then added, "I believe in honest conversation. I also believe in learning. Maybe that's the only way forward." Within hours, the internet flipped again, this time in his favor. Comments flooded in. "Greater than, that's the Sean Bean we know, humble and real. Respect to both him and Lorraine for handling it like adults. This is what accountability looks like." 2 days later, Lorraine invited Sean back, live on air, for a brief, calm reunion. The studio audience erupted in applause as the two shared a handshake and a brief hug. "I wasn't sure you'd come back," Lorraine said with a smile. "Well," Sean chuckled, "I figured I'd finish the interview I started." The mood was lighter this time. They talked not just about his film but also about how conversations, even uncomfortable ones, could bring understanding. By the end, Lorraine turned to the camera. "Sometimes, television surprises us," she said. "Sometimes, disagreement can lead to dialogue. And that's something we all need a little more of." Sean nodded. He said. "That's progress." The audience clapped, and for the first time since that stormy morning, both of them smiled, not for the cameras but for each other. Outside, the headlines had already changed. Sean Bean and Lorraine Kelly make peace on live TV. From clash to conversation, a lesson in respect. And as the lights dimmed in the studio, Sean Bean walked out into the London rain, not as a man cancelled, but as one understood.